I used to study with a Buddhist priest. Now, you want to take one guess why I used to study?
Why? Because he's Jewish.
Because he was Jewish, of course. But when a Jew becomes Buddhist, you know, there's an expression, the Jews are like everybody else, only more so. So a good Jewish boy becomes a Buddhist. He can't be a regular Buddhist. In fact, not only he was a Buddhist priest, he was the world's foremost translator of Tibetan scripture.
Wow.
Yeah. A genius. The guy was a genius. Absolute genius. He had a PhD in philosophy from Princeton. And the guy was a genius. I'll tell you what a genius he was. I would go study with him the deepest concepts, and he would immediately be able to hold a conversation about those ideas. And even more than that, he would be able to make jokes about the subject matter that made sense, that were funny, jokes that were funny and made sense and were appropriate to the subject matter. So I don't know if that impresses you or not, but from my perspective, somebody who can hear an abstract idea that's totally new to them and like be so comfortable with it that he's making jokes about it that actually are funny. That's okay. He was an amazing mind. So we used to study together. One time we were studying together, and I don't remember the subject, but I said to him, you know, there's a recording, a video of the Lubavitcher Rebbe speaking about this idea. Would you like to see it? So he says, yes, I would like to see it. By the way, just a side point, but one thing that was cool about studying with him is American Jews get nervous with the Rebbe-Chassid relationship because Americans are very independent, right? Because we don't want anyone to tell us what to do. Like if you ask an American, like, you know, where are you going? Oh, I'm going to Taekwondo. Who's your teacher? Master Cho. Right? No problem. Taekwondo, they have a master. Master Cho is my master. Then you ask them, by the way, you're Jewish, right? Yeah, I'm a religious Jew. Who's your master? Oh, I don't have a master. Taekwondo, they have a master. Judaism, they don't have a master. Judaism started with Moshe Rabbeinu. I don't want to scare anyone, but the translation is Moses our master. Taekwondo, you have a master, but not in Judaism. So, but he liked the Rebbe stories. Because I asked him, I remember when I met him, he showed me a picture of his guru, Lahavdil, and I said, did you ever serve him? I don't know, I was just trying to make chit-chat. I thought it was a question. He says, I was his butler for 15 years. The guy was a genius, but he was the guru's butler for 15 years. Anyways, what I'm saying is, American Jews, just a side commentary, American Jews have lost touch with this very important part of Jewish culture. Since I started, maybe I'll just continue my commentary here, but during World War II, you might know, many Jews ran away eastward, across Asia, and they ended up, there was a community in Shanghai. And at one point, the Japanese had invaded China. It was Manchuria. The Japanese were part of the Axis. They were, you know, in cahoots with the Germans. So they were getting pressure to hand over these Jews who had escaped from Eastern Europe. So the Japanese governor made a meeting with the Jewish community. The representative of the Jewish community was, in this particular meeting, was the Amshanover Rav. So, who was a Hasidic Rebbe from Poland, originally. So there was an interpreter, and there was the Japanese governor, and there was the Amshanover Rav. And the Japanese governor said, ask him, why do the Germans hate you guys so much? So the Amshanover told the translator, tell him, because we're Oriental. So he told him that answer, and the Japanese governor got up and he said, meeting adjourned, and he found different things to do for the rest of the war. You know, he didn't, because we're Oriental. It's not a joke. We think we're part of Western civilization. You know what Western civilization is? Edom. Edom is Esav. Yaakov and Esav are rivals. Western civilization has been our host, not such a hospitable host. America, we're lucky, you know, we're at the end of history, so we're getting close to Mashiach. So Western civilization is pretty refined now. America is pretty nice, but you know, ask your great grandparents what Western civilization was like in Europe. You know, ask them what, you know, the Holocaust and Crusades and pogroms and Inquisitions. Western civilization wasn't always so nice to us. Only the past 50 years, the evangelicals decided they love Israel and they love Jews, right? But, you know, it wasn't so long ago they didn't. that a religious Christian was as scary to a Jew as a religious Muslim. Wasn't so long ago. I'm getting off on a tangent, but my point is we are Orientals. We're an Eastern culture. In Eastern cultures, they value having a master. Nobody would have the chutzpah to dare to aspire to excellence in any area and not have a master. Which is why you study martial arts. Of course, Master Cho is my master in Taekwondo. But when it comes to Judaism, I don't have a master. Barely listen to the rabbi. But my friend, getting back to my story, he understood that a Jew has to have a master. That in anything you want to be good at, you have to have a master. He appreciated that. So we were studying, and we came to a certain thing, and I said, oh, the Lubavitcher Rebbe spoke about it. He knew that that's my master. So I said, he spoke about that topic. Would you like to see a video of him speaking about it? So he's like, yeah, I would. So I said, great. Where's your computer with internet? This was like 15, 20 years ago. So, it wasn't like you just whip out a smartphone. So I said, where's your computer with internet? So he says, in the other room. Now, I should explain to you. I had never been in any other room in the guy's house except for his front room. I knew he was an active Buddhist. So I knew there had to be, let's call it, paraphernalia around. I just focused on just the front room. We would just sit down at the coffee table, and that's where we would study. I never saw the rest of his house. But I asked him, where's the computer? He says, it's in this other room. So we get up. We walk into a room that had always been behind us. We go in there, and he has a computer. And I go into Chabad.org, and I find the video, and we watch the video. Very nice. And the video finishes, and we turn around to leave the room. And as we turn around to leave the room, I see what has been behind me the entire time that I was unaware of. An altar with an idol and incense, like literal Avodah Zarah, like from Gemara. This is something I learned about in yeshiva. A guy that I love and who I study with and who I know, a beautiful Jewish person, he has this altar and this idol, and of course I knew he was a practicing Buddhist. I understood he must have that kind of stuff, but there's one thing intellectually to know, and then to see it. It was shocking, it was hurtful, it was, I don't know how to describe it, but it was like a punch in the gut. So at that moment, I wanted nothing more than just to be out of that room. I did not want to be in that room. I needed to get the heck out of there. And so I'll just preface by saying, if you don't know me, you should know I have zero sense of direction. Literally, to the extent, in my own home, I cannot tell you which direction. I couldn't tell you which way is Mizrach. I don't know. If I'm in a shul, I look for where the Aron is, but that's the only way that I know. And if you would trick me and put it on the west wall, I would believe you. I have no sense of direction. At this moment, I wanted to get out of that room. And you know how when you're in a really high pressure situation and you think really, really fast and your mind is just working at lightning speed and you just say something. So I don't know how, I don't know why, but it was a stupid thing to say. I'm walking out of that room and I'm trying to run out of that room, and I somehow realize that I'm facing east. And he points to that thing, that abomination, and he says, that's where I pray. And that was like a second punch to the gut. Just seeing it was enough. But then he sees that I see it. He says, that's where I pray. Oh, like why do you have to say it, right? So I just want out of there. And then I'm cognizant of the fact that I'm facing east. And then I got to get out of this room and run past that getchka, and I have to move east. He just says, that's where I pray. So I said, oh, so you pray facing east, like a Jew. I don't know why I just wanted to get out of there. I was just thinking way too fast for my own good. Now, I should also mention to you that from the time that I met my friend, that he was very, very ill with the disease that he eventually died from. And he was not very mobile. He couldn't move very quickly at all, which is why that's why I had to come to his house, even though I knew what kind of stuff was probably in the house. So he says, that's where I pray. Oh, no. I want to get out of here. And so I say to him, oh, so you pray facing east like a Jew. And I start running. And this guy starts running after me. I told you, he didn't move. He couldn't move. He starts chasing me. He starts chasing me like I just ran away with his wallet. And he's screaming after me through the house. What is he screaming at me? He says, what? Not like a Jew. I am a Jew. A real Jew. Listen to that. He just pointed out his idol to me 2 seconds ago. But now I just cast aspersions. I said, oh, you're like a Jew. That's when the Pintele Yid comes. What do you mean, like a Jew? I'm not like a Jew. I am a Jew, a real Jew. And in that moment, he had absolute clarity. Absolute clarity. Now, I want to tell you something. 5 seconds later, if you would have gone over to him, I didn't, but if you would have, and you would have asked him, are you Jewish? I guarantee you with his brilliant genius mind, he would have given you the most phenomenal Drake-up answer. Am I Jewish? Well, you know, I was born Jewish, my mother's Jewish. Culturally, I like bagels and lox. I mean, I was raised in Judaism. He would not give you a straight answer. You get this all the time from people. You know, I don't know who you interact with, but I know in my experience, you ask certain people, are you Jewish? And they give you the hem and the ho. Oh, it's complicated. What's complicated? You are, or you aren't. But there's this simple core identity that has clarity all the time. And for it, there's not, I'm kind of Jewish, I'm a little Jewish. Yeah, well, it depends what you mean by the question. No. I am 100%, this is who I am, this is my essence, not like a Jew, I am a Jew, a real Jew, that's it. That exists within every single Jew. Every single Jew. And if it doesn't look like it, if you're looking at a particular Jew who's protesting their Jewishness, who's cursing Judaism, whatever they're saying, I promise you, that is sleep talk. People say Narishkeit when they're talking in their sleep. But if you would wake them up, and it depends what's it going to take to wake somebody up. So in my story with my friend, that's what woke him up for a second. If you would wake them up, they would speak with clarity, and they would tell you that they are Jewish, and that is their essence, and that is their everything. Hey, this is Shais Taub. You were just watching a clip from this class. If you want to get the full context, the full class that this clip that you just watched was from, you watch right here. Click right here. Here.